10 years ago, this E34 failed its MOT on collapsed subframe bushes. Now, during the time this car failed its MOT, it probably wasn't worth fixing it just because of the value of these cars was very, very low. Whereas in today's market, a classic BMW is very high in demand. No matter what shape, size or model, these BMWs have been through it, and now finding a very decent one is going to be proving quite difficult. Now, if you rewind 6 months, me and my friend Lewis picked up this E34 along with 3 other classic BMWs in a field in Essex. Now, those other BMWs all suffered the same story. Parked up when they were worth peanuts and sold to us idiots once they were literally on their last legs. Now, if you haven't watched that video, I urge you to go and watch it. The link is in the description for that video. It's one of the best ones we've got on the channel, and it's not just classic BMWs. There was a whole field full of classic cars that don't really see anymore. They all had to be shifted off-site ASAP because they were building on there. And these 4 BMWs are what we got left. Now, if you've been keeping up the channel the last couple of weeks, you will know that we have been slaving away on this thing. The seals were rotten, the brake lines were rotten, the fuel lines were rotten, the tank had to be dropped. We're replacing almost every single bush on the car. This is an MOT failure turned into light restoration. And that brings us to the current day where we have a fully rust-free 518. Arguably, this is the best repair out of them all, and I didn't film it. I did it off camera, got the seal repair. It actually starts back here somewhere. Really happy with that one. Turned out to be much better than all the rest of them. We have a rotten door there. A lot of people don't know that, but the door is super, super rotten. Yeah. Apart from that door, we have a completely rust-free car. Everything has been zinc primed, and we are moments away from sealing this thing up for good. After I weld this little hole up, we are completely done, which should make this car good for another 30 years, or at least our lifetime. Now, the reason that this hole is there is because it was part of the fuel line separator clamping mechanism thingamajiggy. It ripped off, and now we've got to weld that hole up. I'm not quite sure how to attach the fuel lines. Probably put a self-tapper in there. If I could replicate these little studs, I would. If you know how I could do that, let me know, because I would like to do that as well. Yeah, I'm gonna weld that hole up, grind it smooth, and then we'll get to sealing the inner arches, and then we can spray it with some underseal. Fixed. Now we can get to sealing. Now, every piece of metal that overlaps another panel needs to be sealed to the elements, because water can go in between those seams and rust them from the inside out. Probably the most common problem for rusting throughout any cars from the 1940s to 2000s. Best way to protect your metal during all these repairs? Weld-through primer. You see me use it a lot. It's the copper spray. It basically covers the seams while still being able to weld to the panel. Then you won't have any rust ingress in between the 2 seams after you've done all your hard work. Now, the weld-through primer isn't the only protection you need. You obviously have to finish that off with some seam sealer to act as a barrier to any water ingress. New cars today won't go through that process. The panel will be coated, sealed, and then riveted together, whereas us, we have to weld it together, burns paint, etc, etc. So this is the process that we have to go through. Now, this can make things quite messy. We're using Tiger Seal. It's hard to get it looking nice sometimes. So I'm going to show you a little trick that I like to use. Get yourself a designated screwdriver, which is just purely opening Tiger Seal tubes. You want to get your snips, and then you want to cut it, you know, sort of roughly about there. Now you have an open tube. Get your blowtorch, right? Turn this on. Get your pliers. Get the end of your Tiger Seal tube, and then you want to squeeze it. Squeeze it flat. What that's going to do is obviously mold it into our little position because we've got the heat, and then you're going to get a nice edge like that. I'm going to do it a little bit more, make it a little bit tighter, but you can then squeeze out the gun and just sort of like do it as if you're welding. Some would say cold welding, and then the seam sealer can sort of look like OEM. This is the best solution I've found so far. It's not perfect, but this is how I do it. And then you get something that looks like Tiger Weld, I would say. That looks OEM. Once that's got a coat of underseal on it, you're not gonna really know. They got all of that around there. On this bottom seam here, I can't really get into it properly, so I'll be brushing the bottom seal, but all the overlaps and stuff, I'll be doing the same. This method works if you can get into it like that, so it's nice and neat. I'm gonna do that both sides, obviously. Some areas you won't be able to do that, but on the areas that it matters, it's gonna look really nice. So brushing it is fine, but you know, just a little trick there, because a lot of people like to enjoy my little tricks, so there's one for you. I am desperate for one of those sealer guns, but they're expensive. Just looks so much nicer. Maybe one day. Okay, fast forward 24 hours. We are about to put some Gravitex underneath it. So Gravitex is what we're going to be coating the underneath in. It's basically a nice underbody coating protection. I'm going to basically just go over the boot floor area and all the way down the sills. As you can see, that is one fully coated E34 Touring. Now, just let it dry and throw it back together.
And the first thing we had to prep was this fuel tank. Very dirty, it's never been out, so I thought I'd brush it down, get ourselves the new fuel pump in. This is the third or fourth time I've had to do this year, and unfortunately it won't be the last, but we got it done. And the next thing to do was get the breather system fitted. We had a rotten breather system. The OEM parts, we couldn't actually find them, so we're replacing it with this copper pipe, which is exactly the same thing and probably won't rot away. Luckily, the fuel tank hose is actually nice and soft because it was not been exposed to the elements, and that meant we could just put our new copper line in, leave it a little bit long at the end because we didn't know where it needed to land, and then all that was left to do was chuck the tank back in. Easy as that, right?
I wasn't even going to do it up the gun. I literally just got it snug and that's what happened. Idiot. Oh, satisfying.
With that very silly mistake sorted, it was now time to trim down our extra long breather hoses and get them secured safely, and that's the main part of our fuel system sorted.
Alright, now our fuel tank situation is sorted, it's all back in, pretty much ready to go. I can now focus on preparing to get the subframe in right here. So before we get the subframe in, we've got to stick our new brake lines on, fuel lines, all of that, put all our new clips on, and then we can finally put this back in and I can stop tripping over it. So let's crack on.
And luckily for me, this was a doddle because we're using OEM BMW parts, so there's no finessing, and I still think they're quite inexpensive to buy. So if you're going to be doing this sort of job, just go straight to BMW, just do it. It's worth it. So all of the rear brake lines are getting replaced with new copper parts. I made these earlier off camera. We've got a little joiner halfway down for our front to rear brake pipe, which is fine because replacing the whole thing is a bit of a nightmare. So then we have the most awkward OEM BMW part you will ever see. It is the front to rear fuel feed and return. Luckily we still get these OEM because it's quite nice to just, you know, get a pipe that you can just put on. bad thing about this is it has to travel the world in that pre-bent shape, and naturally they do get a little bit of a bend and tweak here and there. Overall, quite easy to fit, and it's quite a nice finish once it's all together, because you know that, you know, that's good for its lifetime again, basically. And then it was at this point I realised my brake lines are nowhere near as straight as the fuel lines, and that's something I need to work on. In future, I will learn, but for now, they'll do. And then once again, lots of OEM clips. Nice to just be able to put a load of OEM clips in and not have to worry about finessing them. Apart from this one here, which, if you remember, I managed to snap. And also, for the second time in this video, I have managed to drill out something and then replace it with a bolt. Twice in one video. Good things do come to those that wait. And I think we can all agree here, this has come out very, very nice. So one thing we need to do is make sure it actually works. So new Bosch fuel filter on, fill up the thing with petrol. It was completely bone dry. Make sure we're getting good fuel from the filter and it's not going backwards. Get it all connected up, and then we'll see if we can get this thing running for the first time under its own power. And after a couple of turns, I then remembered that we did remove quite a large pipe which left a 50p size hole in the inlet manifold. This for creating a very bad running E34. Which is not a problem because we have an accelerator, so I rev through it, and this is the first time that it run under its own power in over 10 years. It runs again for the first time under its own power. No external fuel supply, none of this bridging of anything. That is ignition on, prime the fuel pump, and it will run. But you will hear that it sounds bad, and it's nothing to be worried about. And also, no fuel leaks, so we've done something right. I consider that a success. Now we know that it runs and everything above the subframe is all correct, working and all okay. The subframe can go in the car. And finally, I can stop tripping over this subframe. It is back in the car, and I know what you're thinking. You should have painted that before you put it in, but don't worry, I'm one step ahead of you. I gave it a bit of a brake clean, wire brushed it, and then I gave it some stone chip out of the can. This dry is identical to the Gravitech, so I'm not worried about any overspray. And that puts us at a little bit of a halt, because right now we're just waiting for parts and I can't really continue on with anything else, unfortunately. Which is super annoying because we was on a roll and we was going to have this rolling by the end of the week, and it's not looking likely now. I really need this ramp to fix the small problems that we have on the giveaway E34. If you watched the last video, which a lot of you seem to enjoy, it was really, really nice change of pace to my usual videos and had a good response. The hoodies and t-shirts are on a pre-order basis right now. I wasn't sure how many I'd need, but you guys have been killing it and you've ordered loads of hoodies and loads of t-shirts, so I appreciate everyone that's getting involved. The first set of hoodies and t-shirts are going to get ordered at the end of this week, so we're ahead of ourselves. So we're not waiting until the end of the month for those people that ordered first. The stickers are the same principle. I'm waiting for those to be made, and then I'll send those back out to all of those that have ordered. I've had a lot of comments about the design and it's super cool. I love it. I really, really like it. But yeah, back to what I was saying. I need that ramp right there
to put that E34 on it because there's a few things that I want to do. Mainly subframe bushes and control arm bushes, just like this car's had, which I will be doing in November. So it has to be done because obviously we're giving the car away in the first week of December. So yeah, fingers crossed we get some parts ASAP because number one, I need that ramp. Number two, the rotary Datsun project that I've been working on for ages, I need to get it done. The bits that I need to get done need to be done on the ramp. So I need to drop the engine, finish the inside of the tunnel. If you haven't been keeping up with this car here, you have no idea what it is, right? Let me show you quickly. This is a Datsun wagon. I've put these arches on. It's gonna be a race car inspired car. It's got a 12A rotary, heavily bridge ported. Put a pedal box in it, seat mount. Look how far the seat sits back. So I've moved all the seat further back. Shifter's moved backwards, handbrake has been relocated. Obviously I've made this entire tunnel from scratch. This little setup there goes over the shifter like this. Lots and lots of work has gone into this car. Lots more in the engine bay and lots more to still do. This week I'm gonna get the other seat in and hopefully I can get this car on the ramp at some point. And the parts come for this car here because Jack wants this back. It's taken me forever. These things happen. Quite simply overloaded with work this year. Very grateful for it, but I always feel bad when things take long. Something that you think has not been touched in about 2 weeks ends up being about 2 months. And you get a situation where cars hang around and you annoy people. And I don't want to be that type of guy. So getting these ramps working would make me very more efficient. My mate Matt come and wired up this ramp here, the white one, and he's wired up the red one. Thank you, Matt, for coming over for that. But we tried to get it working, and this side of the ramp goes up on its own, but that side will not go up. And there's a sensor or something, or a bit of wiring I'm missing, which goes in the top bar up there. And this is a really complicated German ramp, and it's basically a safety feature, and if I haven't got this sensor, it doesn't work. So this ramp's ready to go, but I can't put it on. But I can't use it because this sensor's missing, and it's really hard to get used to. So if I get this fixed, then this can go on there, and then this one just needs like proper fitting up. But I do all of this on my own, so it's a nightmare. I'm gonna probably end up paying someone to do it because I just don't have the time to put the ramp up on my own. I had to get a load of people over to help me and stuff. And then this little thing can go on the ramp and do that, because again, that's another thing that's been hanging around because it's just not easy to do all these projects at the same time. But anyway, I'm rambling on. Hope you enjoyed this video. The recent videos have been a lot different, and you've all shown your support on them. And I appreciate everyone for doing so. It's been really nice the last couple of weeks. YouTube has been kind to me, everyone's been enjoying it, and I put that little bit more extra effort in, and it's paid off. So yeah, stay tuned for more. Got a few videos actually in line. Got a Christmas special that I'm working on. A couple of cars coming. Blue E34, green E34 content. Loads and loads and loads of things to do, but let me know if you want to see another video on this. Not many people seem to be interested in this Datsun wagon, but they really like this Touring. They really like this Touring. Yeah, thank you all for watching. Link is in the description for the website, playlists, videos, all of that. Go check it out. Thank you all once again, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.